the new Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, August 25th, 2025 City Council meeting. Please join me to salute the flag. Madam Clerk, if you can roll call the members.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Argenzio.
Here.
Here. Councilor Cogliandro.
Here.
Here. Councilor Janino.
Here.
Here. Councilor Guarino-Sawaya.
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas.
Here.
Here. Councilor Jaramillo.
Here.
Here. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambudo.
Here.
Here. And Council President Silvestri.
Here.
Here. A quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the meeting of July 28th.
So move.
All in favor, all opposed? Madam Clerk, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege. So last week, the council as a whole sent a letter out to DOT, Mass DOT. I just want to update everyone that Mass DOT did respond. They sent out workers to take a look at North Shore Road in some of the areas that we pointed out. So there was a response, and I just wanted to update us all on that. And if we could suspend the rules to take up the legislative affairs 12 and 13 under suspension of rules.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules. So ordered.
Legislative Affairs Subcommittee report.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had two items before us. The first one is an ordinance further amending Chapter 12.20 of the Revere revised ordinances relative to poles, wires, and cable. We looked upon this favorably, and I'd like to call for a roll call.
Mr. President.
Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I know the committee voted favorable recommendation, but I'm against this. I think we as a city council lose control of what we want to do. And I don't think the city engineer and I'm going to say a lot of the departments have poor communication to the councilors. And I just don't feel comfortable with the approvals going through the city engineer without us directly being involved. I just don't feel confident that they'll be touching base with us and filling us in and giving us the right reason not to object to something or to allow something. And I just feel very uncomfortable doing this. So I'll be voting against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other city councilors? Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, is there any way to put an amendment in to have the city engineer listed as well as the ward councilor? Just to make sure that goes through?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilor Guarino-Sawaya. Oh, Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm kind of torn on this one. This brings up a memory of when former Ward 3 Councilor Arthur Guanasso put his foot down with National Grid. They would not fix the electrical issue at Fiore's Market. And because Arthur said that he would not vote for another project, after 10 years of them not having the correct electrical power, and it was finally fixed because the council agreed not to vote. And, so this is, I understand, why we don't want this here. I do agree with the communication. We could definitely have better communication. I know sometimes they're a text message away, but, sometimes people want to know what's going on, if the road's being dug up or something. And for me, my big issue that I always ask about and they never know is the scope of the project, which, this poor kid comes up here and, they send him here. So That's it. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate my colleague from Ward 3 talking about Arthur Guanasso and his fight, but that was I want to say, almost a once-in-a-lifetime situation because of the kind of power that was required to travel across the city to get there. They did drag their feet. They were terrible, but I don't think I can use that as a reason not to vote for this, because I think this streamlines things. And if we had a situation like that again, I'm sure we could create enough pressure to get it done. So I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Permission to speak from the chair? I am also torn in between this, but I think if we ask the city engineer to keep us in the loop, that they would do that. I think they would do it better than National Grid. It's just my opinion. I think they might feel a little bit more compelled to communicate with us. At least I would hope. But that's just my opinion. So I guess we'll have a roll call with the amendment to,
First of all, what's being amended? How is it being written up?
to add the,
How do you want it to read? There's two sections as follows. Section 1, Chapter 12.2 of Title 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Revere is hereby amended by removing all instances of the word city council and inserting in place thereof the word city engineer. So how would you like that to read, Councilor House?
City engineer, and then relay that information to the respective ward councilor.
It's not as simple as just adding that phrase after the word city council. The way that the ordinance is presented to the city council is deleting the word city council and inserting in place thereof city engineer. And then if you're continuing the sentence on, it may not fit in the other sections where it's being replaced.
Council Cogliano.
Thank you for the leeway, Mr. President. I guess we could just pass this as is, see how the communication is, and as a council, if this isn't working out, we can come back and change it, modify it, repeal it.
Is everyone okay with that?
I'd be okay with that.
Councils? Okay. We'll go back to the original. And no amendments. Yep.
So this would be on a second reading.
Yep. Okay. So ordered on a second reading. Ordered on a third and final.
Mr. President, no.
Okay. This will automatically get tabled. Yes. And if we could go to number 13, Madam Clerk.
Still under the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee report.
Yes.
Okay,
Councilor Argenzio.
Yes, the second item on our agenda, an ordinance further amending Appendix A, Table of Fees of the Revere Revived Ordinances. We looked on it favorably, and I call for a roll call.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call on a second reading as amended? Ordered on a third and final reading as amended. Roll call for engrossment and ordainment.
Shall the City Council approve an ordinance further amending Appendix A, Table of Fees, the revised ordinances of the City of Revere as amended? Counselor Agenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna? Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes. Counselor? Yep.
Yes, I just needed to record it. My mic had gone out. Ordinance has been approved.
Thank you. Well, under suspension of rules, could we please bring up item number 31, please? Counsel McKenna.
Hold on, I'm just trying to, my pages are, everything's stuck together. My apologies. Calendar item number 31, motion presented by Councilors McKenna, Argenzio, and Cogliandro, that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to order to a public hearing and adopt the attached proposed ordinance relative to the regulation of motorized scooters.
Chief Levita, how are you?
Good evening.
Counsel McKenna.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to amend my motion. Ashley and I wrote this ordinance not knowing that there was already a Massachusetts general law, MGL, Chapter 90, Section 1E, on the books regulating motorized scooters. I added my two colleagues on this motion because of their previous motions. Attached is a legal update issue to police departments for enforcement suggestions. I've had a number of conversations with Captain Malone and Chief Levita, and I would like to put a substitute motion in. My substitute motion is that by myself, Agenzio, and Cogliandro, that the mayor request the chief of police to enforce the provisions of MGL Chapter 90, Section 1E. Further, that the chief of police, in conjunction with the superintendent of public schools, develop an educational campaign for students relative to the laws and proper usage of the motorized scooters. The current fines are $30, and I think the city should increase the fines, the first fines, to $50. I just want to say that the problems that I'm seeing, and I'm sure all of the councilors are seeing, as two on a scooter. I see a mother every single day with their daughter on a scooter going to the Beachmont School when school is in session. If a rock or a divot in the road ends up there, that could be a tragedy. Not obeying the traffic laws, going in the opposite direction on oncoming cars or a one-way, no helmets, no support to drive. You're not supposed to drive at night. There's scooters all around the city. Just like drivers that have motorcycle licenses, you must be 16 years old to drive a scooter with either a learner's permit or a driver's license. And driving on the sidewalks is so dangerous for pedestrians. And it starts with education, it starts in the schools, and we need to do a better job educating our youths so they can obey the laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yeah, thank you for putting the motion in. I'm definitely not opposed to a city ordinance being passed. I just wanted to point out that we did have some conversation about there being Mass General Law already on the books. So I guess the question would be, you know, which, if this were to pass, which enforcement the police would use? Would it be a motor vehicle citation that goes through the registry versus the city ordinance doing it that way? So that would be a further discussion. But I just wanted to point out that it is something that can already be enforced. And as, you know, within the past month, I've asked and distributed these types of direction to try and do something with it. We are already working with the school department on an educational form to be provided as school starts tomorrow. So that is in progress, but a great recommendation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Councilor Argenzio?
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I know this was a serious issue for me. This is one of the first things I put in when I came on the council, I think my first month in. People getting hit as they come out of stores, from scooters and what have you, so thank you very much. My only question about the registry is, if you have a small electric scooter, is that, is there jurisdiction from the registry over something like that?
So the law reads motorized scooter.
Okay.
So there are laws on the books that cover e-bikes as well,
Okay.
which are electric run. And then they have motorized scooters and mopeds.
Okay.
So-
So if somebody 12 years old is going down, that citation would go to this 12-year-old, or would it go to their parents?
Technically, it would go to them.
Oh.
You could actually cite somebody on a bicycle as well. So
Okay.
the question, I guess, therein lies, is that the right way to police this?
Right. I mean, it's okay with me, I just didn't know if that's something that was feasible, but it sounds like it is. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliandro?
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, you're doing a great job, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my initial instinct was that the ticket was way too low, considering the amount of problems we have. And you had mentioned earlier today that what gives it teeth is the fact that it will be a surcharge on their, if it's a moving violation, if we go through the state, it'll be a surcharge on their insurance. So that's what gives it teeth. So I guess the question is, if we do create an ordinance and use our own fee schedule, which one do we want to do? I mean, I'm going to support this either way, but I guess it's just food for thought. We'll have a conversation on it at some point, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guarino-Swire?
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, I like the idea of what you were saying. Which one are we going to do? Are we going to do it citywide, or are we going to send it to the registry? Just by listening to that, I would say, if it's a first offense, maybe do it a city ticket, and then if they continue their offenses, then send it to the registry of motor vehicles, especially age-wise. I mean, if you're talking a 12, 13-year-old, you can't send it to the registry of motor vehicles because they don't even have a license. So maybe if we start implementing it citywide and giving them a ticket, or even the parents a ticket because they're not old enough to be driving, and parents shouldn't be allowing them to drive it. So something like that wouldn't be a child's responsibility, it would be the parent, to parent them, you know? And then the other thing is, once they do turn 16, then if you wanted to go to the registry of motor vehicles, if it's a second or third offense, I wouldn't do it right away. We have to give this a chance to run its course, and for everybody to realize what we are doing, what we're trying to implement. But Councilor McKenna, thank you for putting this motion in. It's a great motion.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino?
Thank you, Chief. I like the idea of the enforcement on it. However, I have some concern with the citing them through the city ordinance, chapter 40s, with the enforcement part of it. When you pull over someone, there's no teeth to it, and trying to get money out of them to pay the fines has been almost impossible in some instances, unless they have property owners or something in the city. I like going through the registry to cite them, and like Councilor Guarino said, you know, maybe first offense, cite them on the city ordinance. If it continues on, RMV. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. President. So I guess I'm a little torn on this, because in one way, I think that we'll have more enforceability or more of a deterrent effect if it does go through the registry. However, if we keep it with the city ordinance, we have more control over how we craft it and what we charge for violations. So maybe we do have to do something like, I think Councilor Janino suggested, doing a first-time offense under the city ordinance, and then for multiple offenses, enforcing it under the RMV. That would be my suggestion. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you. Chief, I appreciate you coming up tonight. I also appreciate, I filed a similar motion last month, and I don't know if my fellow counselors are aware, but I appreciate the information that you sent out yesterday, along with the mayor's office and the administration. If you have not seen it, it's back to school safety for motorized scooters. It explains the do's and don'ts. Motorized scooter is defined as 2- or 3-wheel device with handlebars designated for a standing or sitting powered electric or gas motored capable of propelling with or without human effort. What you can do: on regular roadways only, where you cannot ride, never sidewalks, never on highways, never in bike lanes or roadways, never on street recreational paths. Must follows, non-negotiables: must have a valid driver's license or permit, non-registration required, a helmet is mandatory, no passengers, 1 rider only, maximum speed of 20, daytime only, no riding at night. Now, Chief, can you help us understand, is this, a lot of people have, when they've seen this reposted and shared, have had negative comments. There's no way we can enforce this. How can we enforce this? Do you think there's a way to enforce this, maybe even through the school more, so we have the students and parents understanding, and possibly if the superintendent can send these out to families so that the families understand the repercussions that come along with this?
Yes, so that's pretty much the first wave of this whole initiative, right, to educate people. I think there's always going to be people that fall in line, and there are always going to be a few that don't. So I think to get the people to understand what the law is, because it's complicated. So to put a nice, thorough something out that people can actually read and follow, say, oh, that's me, I'm supposed to be wearing a helmet, and I'm not supposed to be on the sidewalks. Those are 2 of the biggest things. So I think if we can get a lot of people to understand that that's not allowed, then enforcement would be a little easier.
Thank you very much. Any other city councilors? Okay, all in favor, all opposed?
Is that on the amended motion? What do you guys want?
Oh. Yes. On the amended motion, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. And Madam Clerk, if we can go back to the regular order of business, please.
Brian Dakin will give the council a brief verbal update on the construction of the new high school.
Brian Dakin, 1 High Street, the owner's project manager for the high school project, work for Left Field. Thank you for your time. Tonight, I wanted to give you a brief sort of look back on a few milestones the project's hit in the last month or 2, and then similar month or 2 look ahead on what's to come. In the last few months, we finished the 60% construction document phase. We've subsequently submitted that to the MSBA. The most important takeaway at that milestone is the construction cost estimates. So, as you know, we have Consigli on board as the construction manager. We always do peer estimates, 2 estimates in parallel. Ultimately, the Consigli cost estimate was $8.6 million under the prior budget, and the peer estimate was $10.9 million under for construction costs. So, very good sign, but again, those are just estimates. As we move forward into bidding, which I'll talk about in a minute, we will ultimately, in the next number of months, get clear resolution on are those projections of being somewhere in the realm of $10 million under the budget reality. We have also launched a number of peer reviews of the design, peer reviews for structural, fire code, building code. Those are items that we've launched after speaking with fire department, building commissioner, and with the structural peer review, it's required by Mass General Law. So the 60% construction document set's being reviewed by about 4 different entities They have comments back to us. We will debate the merits of their comments, incorporate them into the future 90% construction drawings that, and ultimately the final drawings that'll get bid. In terms of site work, Phase 1 site demo is nearing completion. The next week, 2 weeks, we should be done cleaning up the abandoned utilities and old foundations down at the of the former Wonderland dog track. We have hit no underground surprises in terms of soil contamination or potential change order events. So the budget for Phase 1 site demo remains intact as we're about 95% complete with that work. Looking ahead a little, the next 2 to 4 weeks, a whole lot of important activities. We anticipate being complete with the MEPA process, and at the Concom meeting next Wednesday, we anticipate that that'll bring our environmental permitting for the rest of the project into completion. The only early scope we're bidding, when I say early scope, it's scope that we're bidding off pre-final construction documents. So on all of these CM projects, to maintain schedule and to establish the schedule, really, we bid site work, concrete, steel early. Those are out on the street. We do not have results. We'll have bid results in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That'll start, it's about, call it about a third of the value of the project that's being bid right now. So that'll at least give us really good resolution in real dollars about where we are financially. The other thing I'll say about the bidding process is, again, we don't have numbers yet, but there's been really high interest. We de-scope, we meet with a lot of these bidders to make sure that they're clear on what their obligations are and let them ask questions, and there is a ton of interest out there for this. Looking a little bit more ahead, the 90% construction drawings will be released in September. We'll do another round of 2 estimates on anything that's not bid in that 90% construction set. That construction set will also incorporate a lot of the comments from the peer reviewers. We'll release the final construction document package by the end of the year and bid the rest of the project, other than those early items, steel, concrete, site work, and elevators. Elevators we have to get way ahead of ordering. So we'll bid the rest of that over the winter. In general, we're looking at site work, not site demo, but actual site work commencing in September, October. We'll be pouring foundations through the winter, moving on to steel and elevated concrete decks late winter into the spring, and then by spring next summer, if there's a construction trade out there, they'll be on that site. So should have the building closed in and onto mechanical systems and interiors fall into next winter, and then really work out the interior of the building 2027, be ready to move in 2028. So we still are holding schedule, we're holding budget, we're showing that we're somewhere in the realm of estimated 10 million under the budget right now. We hope to improve that by the bidding process, and we're about to complete most of permitting. So on that note, I'll pause for some questions.
Thank you, Brian. Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Dakin, for finally coming in. I know it was a little tricky trying to get you in here, so thanks
You're welcome.
for finally being here. And I know that we had a couple of conversations too in the meantime over the last couple of months. So I want to start out just by saying I think that everyone can agree we want to build the best educational facility that we possibly can. However, a lot of people that I speak to, most people that I speak to, including myself, have concerns about our ability to pay for it. That is where my sole concern comes from that standpoint, just from our ability to pay. So hearing that we're coming in under budget is extremely good news. What I would ask is that if we do come in under budget, that money is saved and not spent on other things. So I would like us to just save it and not find other things that we can spend it on. The other thing that I would like to mention is that after my motion to open the discussions about cost and maybe talk about how we could reduce cost, I know that during an RHS building committee, the mayor requested a $10 million cut be taken out of respect for that motion. But it was also discussed during that meeting that we as city councilors probably shouldn't be involved in any discussions regarding cost mitigation, and that those discussions should be left solely in the RHS building committee meeting. So although I respect that, I do think that we, as city councilors, as elected officials, should also be involved in those discussions. I think that we have a responsibility, having voted on the bonding of closely to $500 million, we have a responsibility to continue to stay in and oversee the budget and the costs. So in that regard, I just think that we need to know exactly what we're getting for our money as well. And I think there are a lot of things that I'm hearing out there from people that, you know, there's 5 tennis courts, there's 3 soccer, there's a lot out there, and I just want to make sure that we're getting factual information out to the constituents so that we know exactly what we're getting for our money. For instance, I was surprised to learn that there's no indoor track. I thought for almost $500 million, we would have an indoor track, so I was surprised to learn that. So the 3 areas that we spoke about regarding cuts, if at all possible, the first had to do with the size of the building, meaning the square footage, which basically can't be done because of the MSBA, and we're kind of locked into that. Unless, of course, there were a severe decline in enrollment, then maybe that would give us an argument to pause and rethink that, but that doesn't seem to be the case, so that doesn't seem to be a viable option. The second has to do with savings dealing with the actual site. You mentioned things like plantings or outdoor gardens and outdoor classrooms and things like that that may be able to be explored. And then the third was a list of items that you gave to me that weren't really in layman's terms. So a lot of it was some technical jargon that wasn't, you know, 100% clear to me. But I believe that list totaled maybe $18 million. So again, the $10 million that we're saving, the $10 million that was requested, it's a great start, but on a $500 million budget, it doesn't really seem like it's something that's meaty enough that, you know, to dent the budget. So I don't know if we can have more talks about exactly what amenities are included and maybe what could be. I know we mentioned maybe not doing all the outdoor plantings all at once, maybe doing some, you know, initially and doing them in phases. So I just think these are things that we need to be involved in as a city council and as elected officials. So that's the reason why I wanted you to appear this evening. And again, so from looking at the list, it didn't look like there was anything that I saw that was like really over and above what I would expect to be in this high school. So it brought me back to my original thought as to whether or not the cost of this high school really has to do with the location and the fact that the environmental, the flood zone and all that is really adding to the cost of this build. But then again, when I asked about that, when we were discussing the sites, I was told that was not the case. So I'm a little confused as to, we have this huge price tag, but we don't have some things that I would expect. I would have expected we'd have even more. But now that I'm looking at this a little closely, it doesn't seem to be the case. So is a lot of this cost being attributed to just because of the site that we're building it on? I guess that's the first thing that I'd like to explore. Thank you.
So the site costs are a huge driver on any project. We had the site costs of this site, when we last, in a detailed manner, compared the existing site to Wonderland, the site costs were close to level. If I'm not mistaken, I think Wonderland was a bit more, but they were within a few % of each other. The main driver of that was soil conditions at the existing site. We believe actually would have been worse. There's a lot more urban fill, like rubble, old building materials at the existing site that we're not encountering in a loose, buried manner at Wonderland. Wonderland's just what's there is there. The foundations are there. And the major cost driver at the existing site would have been to have to rebuild the culvert that runs in there and ultimately drains out through the Eastern County ditch. They are part of the same water system. So I don't think there's a massive premium on the Wonderland site. Where you see a little bit of the premium is there is more space, and those plantings and landscape finishes that that we talked about a little are higher than just by virtue of there being more outdoor space. We was squeezing in the same amount of fields for the options at the existing site, so those costs were neutral. But there is more green space over at Wonderland, there's more planting. So that definitely is an item that we're meeting with the school maintenance to try to make as most efficient as possible. And just getting back to a few of your other comments on the discussion that we had, square footage, size of the building, shape of the building, I consider locked in at this point, really because it's out to bid. If we wanted to make the building smaller, we'd be changing the steel design, the concrete design, and I think we're beyond that point. So we are looking at, are there efficiencies in the interior finishes of the building? Are there optimizations in the mechanical systems that still achieve the sustainability goals? And landscape's always the last thing that goes in anyway, so that's the thing we have the most time flexibility on dialing in. So I also do completely agree with you. The value engineering log that that you have is a lot of industry jargon, and we are updating that. We're going to bring some new ideas into that in the event that these bids don't come back aggressive or under budget. So that list of potential cuts is there to ensure that not only can we meet the budget, we can meet the reduced $10 million reduced budget. I guess one more thing. I absolutely agree with you that as we achieve bid savings, on a technical basis, the bottom line number of the budget will still stay the same in all the reports. But I'll send you the budget and I'll show you how we start reflecting bid savings as savings. That game gets played really until we have the whole project bid is the thing. One trade might come in $1 million under, another trade might come in $1 million over. We hope that by the time we have it fully bid, we're millions under, if not tens of millions under, and that starts getting reported as money that doesn't have to be spent or borrowed. So as we get closer to the end of the project, we'll work with CFO Viscay to hone in on sort of the last borrowing and say, how close to this budget are we going to come? Are we going to be able to be 10 million, 20 million, 30 million under? And that ultimately would just be money that wasn't borrowed and therefore not expended.
And so, Mr. Dakin, how often do you think would you be appearing to give us updates? Would you think it would be feasible to come in?
I think if we skip next month and do October, we will have about a third of the project bid. We can show you real bid results for that. We'll have that whole VE list updated, and we could potentially go through it in a manner that's a little more, not full of acronyms and abbreviations and building jargon. And we should be through the permitting process and really launching construction. So I think an update 2 months from now would be appropriate, and I think maybe 2 months after that should put us a lot closer to bidding the rest of the building. And that's really the big item at this point, is where are these bids going to fall. That might make the job difficult if they come in high to really hit the $10 million reduced budget. It might instantly make it easy, and we might be able to really exceed it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guarino-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with Councilor Kelly. We should be informed, and we should be able to make a decision with the school committee. If we can budget the $500 million, then we should be included in how that $500 million is spent. Also, if you're sending letters, and the entire council needs to be aware of what's happening. My question is, how are we going to maintain this building afterwards? Where is that money going to come from? I know we only have like one HVAC guy, one electrician, one plumber. This school is 10 times the size of the old school. How are we going, where's that money going to come from? And is that already budgeted at some point? Where's it going to come from? I just...
Yep. Those aren't questions I could help with, other than saying we will have updated what we call life cycle cost analysis of the building. We will have estimates on what the electric bill would be, what maintenance for the grounds will be. However, I think that's the jurisdiction of the project doesn't really carry into operating and maintaining the building. So I'm just not sure I could provide answers for those. We try to give you the city and the school all the warning about this is what it's going to cost to operate, and that's about all we can do.
I'm asking that because I've had residents come up to me and they're like, oh my God, Angela, where are they gonna come up with this money? There's only one of this and one of that and one of that. You're talking about on an ongoing basis. How are we going to pay? And they're right. They're right. So this is why I just want to put it out there that I did ask the question that was asked of me because I don't have the answer. So I'm praying somebody will have the answer at some point, but I do believe that the city council should be involved in where this money is going. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Brian, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate the timeline, a lot of great information in there. I had a quick question regarding being under budget. I know you said the estimate was 10.9. Is there, I know you touched a little on this before, is there a target number that you look for in this? Is there something you had in your mind or the company had in their minds about, let's try and shoot for 20% under, 20 million under, 25 million under? Is there a target number that you guys had in mind?
Not a specific target other than, I mean, once the school building committee and the city made it clear that there's a lot of numbers here, but the approved original construction budget's right around 412 million. That's not the total project budget. Total project's 493 plus the feasibility. So out of the 412, we've been treating it as we want to finish this construction contract with a minimum of $10 million unspent there. But so from a planning point of view, no, but from understanding the economy and looking at other projects, it's a lot different with these big projects than folks at home. There's a lot more economy of scale. Most of these contractors going after projects of this size are very hungry, very interested to ride out the next 2 to 4 years with a large contract near the city that's easy to get to for their workforce. So we are expecting aggressive bids. I am expecting to bid overall as an aggregate under budget, but we don't really have a magic target. This just really, honestly, right now, despite any talk about tariffs or whatnot, is an excellent time to bid a job like this.
And it sounds like from what you said that it's a pretty attractive project, so maybe that number will go.
Huge interest.
Will go even higher.
If anything, during the review of bidders and pre-qualification on this project, the few that we might have to weed out in the future simply won't be big enough. They won't have done something anywhere near this size, and they might want to go after it, but we might not want to be the experiment. So I think there'll be more bidders than we need. We might have to whittle the pool down a bit.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other city councilors? Councilor Cogliano.
Thank you, Mr. President. Brian, thanks for being here. So
welcome.
before I ask anything, would it be reasonable for us to ask the CFO? And the only reason I ask is because I think every person in this room that lives in this city could agree, we all want to make sure, whether we're 100% optimistic, whether we're cautiously optimistic or not optimistic at all, we all want to know how we're paying for this. And where we were relying so heavily on revenue from Suffolk Downs, that's going to come in at some point, but I think we owe it to the residents to be transparent with this, and maybe the CFO would be able to come up alongside Brian, because I know Brian can't, Brian, I know you can't answer budgetary questions unless it has to do with the project, so maybe that we can get him as well. So could you just explain to me why we need 2 cafeterias, Brian?
Well, I think it is actually a good question, and I know where you're coming from. The cafeteria in this building was really establishing what the designers in the school are calling a heart of the school, that main center atrium, the front entry, the courtyard entry, all abut, the athletic wing abuts, the arts wing abuts, the academic wing abuts. That, in the end, was the place to put the cafeteria, to sort of foster that. And ultimately, laying out an efficient shape of the building and not having to get too big meant we were going to put that on 2 floors. And ultimately, that's how it does seem like we have 2 cafeterias. It's more that it's a stacked cafeteria. One of them is being called the freshman cafeteria.
That concerns me,
Yep.
the social aspect of that. Yeah,
Yep.
just, when I was a freshman, I was with everybody else. And if that's the reason, that's why I asked, because in the building committee meeting, it was said, this is the freshman cafeteria. And, you know, all these gardens we're putting in there, and one of the huge selling points when this originally was happening was, we need more fields in the city. We have so many sports teams, you know. I wish we weren't doing things like a healing garden, because the last thing that's gonna be used for is healing, I can tell you right now, speaking as an RHS alum. So I just wish we were putting more field space out there, but that's you know, neither here nor there, I guess. So I was at the Conservation Commission meeting last month. This DEP certificate, that's supposed to come in on the 29th?
Yes, we'll know that we're getting that on the 29th. We sort of fear the signed copy of it won't show up till the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Which I think one of the discussions was that they were gonna only have 24 hours to review it. Are we just needing the certificate regardless of what it says? Or can you just explain that process, what that means, we're waiting? Because I don't know anything about that part. What do we wait, what is the certificate for? What could it entail? Does that mean we're a go?
Yeah, that certificate, first off, it's not a permit, it's not a license, that MEPA process is more or less a clearinghouse of requiring any project to formally engage through one submission every regulatory agency that the state has. So the process itself is a big back and forth of multiple submissions. They comment, we respond with the next submission, they comment again, we respond. And ultimately that final certificate is simply saying, you've done that. All the regulators' comments have been addressed. If there's any suggestions on how we have to handle any final comments, they'll be in there. And then you're free to go finish whatever local permitting you have. So I think that we will get some comments back in that certificate, and we will follow up with them. However, the certificate is more a confirmation that you've gone through that process, engaged DEP, EPA, all of these other agencies.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. So it seems like this should be the end of this.
It's definitely the end of MEPA. It's been linked now to, once we clear that, I think there's, the way I understood Concom was, we'll go through there. Concom has issued a draft order of conditions to the project. I can tell you that there's no technical issues in that draft, so we anticipate having MEPA probably by the Tuesday, and the following day, hopefully go through Concom. That's the end of environmental permitting. We still have to get local building permits, but that's the end of the bigger part of the permitting process.
And then once we get that certificate, everything's a go. Is that the point where the MSBA will then reimburse us?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes. So they get that. I hope that means cash flowing back to the city of Revere next month, and we'll stay on them about that. But yes, the short answer is once they get that certificate, they issue the project funding agreement. By my estimates, it's up to about $14 to $16 million that they owe the city.
And I think I asked already, but we get that all at once, right?
You get that first one all at once because it's back reimbursement for the last year and a half. Then it starts every month. Building committee approves X amount of money. We submit it to the state. The following month, they audit it, send the money directly back to the city.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, councilors. Any other city councilors? Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you. Brian, thanks for coming up tonight. We're hearing some good news with some savings. I do appreciate that the city is actually only has to pay $250 million instead of $500 million, because there's a big difference there. We are getting reimbursed half of this project. I did ask the mayor actually last week in our meeting about the cost day-to-day, Councilor, day-to-day budgeting goes to the school department, and they're looking at a lot of savings with the new technology, the new built school. A lot of the places we spend money now, plumbing issues, HVAC issues, stuff like that, will have a brand new school, so they're hoping to have some savings with the new, and then other things get sent out to bid if we can't fix it within the building. But the mayor thinks we'll be in very good shape to handle that as well. I thank you for coming up. I thank you for keeping us in the loop. My one question for you is, have you seen any projects recently that the materials are causing more of an issue than anything else? The cost of materials and things like that?
Generally speaking, right now, again, if you're dealing with a large project, it's going to be very different for smaller contractors, residential contractors. In fact, it's going to be the opposite for them. But honestly, it seems to be that materials, overall, a few are up, a few are down, but every bid we've seen for the last 3 or 4 months is coming in under budget.
Okay.
And despite tariffs, despite all that. So I don't exactly know why. I'm not smart enough to understand why, but at least on this size of construction, we're seeing extremely aggressive bidding, and it's just the right time because we don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, I agree with you there as well. In speaking with the union trades for the last few weeks about several projects within the city, they're hungry for work of large projects. Where they say within the next few weeks they're going to have a lot of men and women on the bench instead of out at work. So I think we will be in a good position for that. So thank you for coming up tonight, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. You're welcome.
Public hearings, calendar item number 3, hearing called as ordered on a petition submitted by National Grid and Verizon to install one jointly owned pole near 160 Campbell Ave.
Anyone here from National Grid? No? Any proponents? Anyone here to speak in favor? Proponent?
Jim Mercurio, 193 Crescent Ave. I'm in favor of this, even though I know National Grid is not available. We need to get electricity to a few of the houses that were in development stage right now. So this will be an important issue come up the next couple of months. So I know I'm going to be meeting with Ira, the ward councilor, and also the National Grid engineer to go over more specifics on the project. But it's really important that we get some electricity to the site for the winter months that are fast approaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Any other proponents? Anyone here in favor? Hearing none, closing that side. Any opponents here in person? Do we have any opponents in the crowd? Okay, Madam
Mr.
Clerk?
President,
Yes.
just a point of information that there were 3
Yeah, I was just about
residents,
to
yeah.
read them in now.
Thank you.
So we have 3 opponents. All seem to, yeah, all are on Campbell Ave. We have Leonard Bulkelman of 160 Campbell, Daniel Lopez of 156 Campbell Ave, and Masayim Bagaria of 172 Campbell Ave. All wanted to be recognized as opponents. And this will be placed on file. Yes. Also, National Grid actually has withdrawn the petition based on custom has changed, and they're going to withdraw because of the neighborhood pushback. So this will be placed on file.
Calendar item number 4, hearing called as ordered on a petition submitted by National Grid to install underground conduits near 160 Campbell Ave, across Campbell Ave and into the property located at 155 Campbell Ave.
National Grid? Proponents? Anyone here in favor? Name and address?
James Mercurio, 193 Crescent Ave. Once again, we're looking to get electricity over to the development project, so I am in favor of re-engineering of this, where the poles will be located. And once again, I will be in communication with Ward 2 Councilor Ira Novoslawski, along with the National Grid engineer to get this problem rectified. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any other proponents? Anyone in here in favor? Okay, closing that side. Any opponents? Anyone here in person against? Okay, hearing none, I actually have the same three opponents: Leonard Belkman, 160 Campbell Ave, Daniel Lopez, 156 Campbell Ave, and Masim Bagarili, 172 Campbell Ave. All would like to be recognized as opponents. And National Grid will also be withdrawing this with neighborhood pushback. Placed on file.
Calendar item number 5, hearing called is ordered on an ordinance establishing zoning provisions for battery energy storage systems in the city of Revere.
Any proponents? Tom?
Good evening, councilors. Tom Skorowski, Chief of Planning and Community Development, 281 Broadway. I'm here in support of this petition and the amendment that was put in front of you for our zoning ordinance to allow for battery energy storage systems as a new use in our zoning ordinance use table, and to be permitted by special permit in the highway business and the TED districts. This is a relatively new use to adapt to an ever-changing electrical grid. The concept basically is to hold power during low usage periods where power is more affordable, and hang on to it for distribution back onto the network during those high peak periods like 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. when folks are coming home from work and you know, they've got their air conditioners running, TVs on, they're running their heating, cooling systems. So this is a use that's rapidly growing throughout the Commonwealth and will only begin to grow even more as you know, we're grappling with issues of energy affordability and looking at new ways to make energy cheaper for all consumers across the network. Ultimately, this will help lower energy costs for us in the long run. Supports the use of renewable energies, but not just renewable. It also helps to, again, just support usage during low peak periods to bring them back on the grid during those high peak periods. It helps diversify our land use in the city with a new growing field, and it can provide both lucrative host community agreements and pilot agreements. So just, you know, a few examples. Chelsea, in their recent project that was approved, they have a pilot, which is a 20-year, $1.5 million per year agreement that comes along with a host community agreement with roughly $550,000 in payments to the city of Chelsea for a variety of purposes. And there's a few corollaries across the region with similar projects. But you know, at the same time, this is not just economically lucrative. It is done in keeping with our fire department and local NFPA standards, building code, UI code, all of the necessary safety and public safety and health protection measures to make sure this is done the right way. This was done in consultation with our solicitor's office, the fire department, and with professionals in the industry. The parameters for this would be any energy storage system above 30 megawatts. This doesn't include smaller energy storage systems. And this is a use, it's worth noting, that does have some degree of protection under 40A currently. It has been designated as a system which facilitates the collection and distribution of solar energy onto the grid, and as such does have certain protections under 40A. Our goal here is to create some reasonable local regulations, which you see before you tonight, to, in advance of July of 2026, when this actually becomes a state permitting process. We're looking to jump ahead of that to make sure we have any instances where companies would like to come in front of us for a battery energy storage system proposal. This is really our last opportunity to have local control over the process, so this will allow us to exert some of that local control. After we go through the pros and the cons, happy to answer any specific questions folks may have.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else here for a proponent? Anyone else here in favor? Hearing none, closing that side. Any opponents? Opponents? Name and address, please.
Jim Mercurio, 193 Crescent Ave. I don't know if I'm a proponent or opponent against this, these battery energy storage facilities. They're called BESS, B-E-S-S. There's pros and cons of these facilities. One will be where the location would be for this facility. I'm hearing rumors it could be the old trailer park because it's in relationship with the transmission station, which is located on Railroad Ave. The pros, yes, we can get lower our energy costs. We get grid reliability and resistance, legal clarity on the permitting we'll need, state policy alignment, economic and benefits. There'll definitely be some benefits to the city of Revere for this facility. As Tom has said, we'll get a great tax revenue, and the city right now is looking for some major tax revenue to pay for the new high school. But it comes with a lot of risk. These battery facilities do catch on fire, and there have been some major fires out there. The risk are, fire, thermal runaway, and first responder safety, coastal floodplain sitting constraints. So these things have to be elevated above the floodplain. It cannot be anywhere in the flood zone. So there's some areas down in that proposed area where I believe the trailer park is in the flood zone. Neighborhood compatibility we have to look at as a council. Municipal capacity. What size facility are we going to build? Small, medium, or large? There's 3 different sizes which carry specific wattages that these battery facilities store, so we have to look into that. Over and under regulation exposure, which is a very important issue. A couple other things that I'd like to mention. I know this is in the early stage, but we got to start thinking about this now because this could come at us real fast, and we need to really sit down and think about this. Like I said, what size system is going to be are we going to be looking at? Hazard mitigation analysis, emergency response. These systems are nice, but if something fails on these systems, we have to have special equipment for the fire department. We need special fire engines to put these fires out. Massport has a foam truck. Will that be available to us? Will the city need a foam truck at $1.5 million? Okay? Yes, there is a benefit.
Mr. Mercurio, can we hold this to the public hearing?
Yeah, sure,
I understand you're not sure as opponent or opponent.
I'm not sure where I'd like to go on this.
So we'll labor you down, and when the public hearing gets more meat into this, we can.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Any other opponents? Hearing none. City councilors. Councilor Guarino Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tom, I just have a couple of questions. What are the initial or ongoing costs of installing these storage facilities, and how would the city fund the project? Do we know?
So this would be privately funded and would not be a city project per se. Although, we would certainly look to be very engaged throughout the process. I think Mr. Mercurio had mentioned hazard mitigation analysis, for example. That's something that's done through the NFPA regulations that govern this work. They would actually need to submit a lengthy analysis that we could then have peer reviewed to show that they've accounted for every instance where something could go wrong and what would need to be done to mitigate that effort. As part of our host community agreement, another thing we would be looking to achieve through this is, like he mentioned, the various public safety facilities and the special trucks and specialized equipment. That's all stuff that we would often see. So in these host community agreements, there's often a one-time series of payments that cover many of those purchases for the necessary health and safety materials, and then there's some longer-term kind of sustainability goals related to training of the fire department and ongoing training, and they're required to have a public safety plan on file that they're necessary to be available upon inspection, upon request, and just overall making sure we have a really robust plan in place that reflects an ongoing communication between us and them. But this would be privately funded, this effort.
Thank you. I'm also concerned about the system against cyber attacks. I've heard that there's been cyber attacks to these systems in other parts, and security threats with it. How are we going to mitigate that and make sure that that doesn't happen? Or also, there's one other thing, the temperature. So if it's hot or cold, how do we control its efficiency?
So I think...
Everything is like stems from that as well with them.
Right, so I think these would likely be questions best answered by industry professionals if and when they would submit proposals to the city. You know, in terms of the risk of cybersecurity, I would imagine that's a similar risk that the current grid faces. This would at least provide almost a sense of redundancy in some sense, because you could store some of that energy off the grid to put back on if anything else goes awry. But as it pertains to the efficiency in hot and cold environments, I only know that there's a lot of proposals and various projects that have been permitted and built throughout the Commonwealth. And as we know, on a day like today, or we can imagine what it's going to be like in February, it gets very hot and cold all the time here. And all I can say is it seems like built to industry grade standard. It's built to withstand that and maintain efficiency.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for being here and sharing the information, Tom. So my concerns with this is that thankfully they will require a special permit if we allow these at all. However, I think that allowing them in the HB district and TED districts gives kind of a false sense of security almost, because we're such a densely populated city, those HB districts and TED districts can be very closely situated in proximity to residential homes. So I think it lends the impression that, well, these are going to be industrial kind of areas, but when in fact, those, you know, I know that the Stop and Shop on Squire Road, that's a TED district, but you've got houses, you know, 50 feet away or whatever it is, so very, very close proximity to that. So I think we'd have to be very concerned, even though just in the HB and TED districts, and I'm wondering if whether or not we could add some further constraints in terms of proximity to residential homes, so that even if it's in a TED district, if you've got a residential home located within so many yards of the facility, you know, a special permit could not be granted. So that's something that I would like to give some consideration to, just considering the safety risks. We know that fires can occur, fires can lead to explosions, there's all kinds of leaks, things like that. So I think, you know, again, because we're so densely populated, even in these zones being near residential homes, we've got to be very careful. So maybe some further constraints in there, if this even were to go through, I think need to be considered. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And currently the setbacks mirror those within the individual districts. That's certainly something we could consider. Because of the 48 protection that it's afforded, if we were subject to we would have to defend a decision we would make basically to create some reasonable regulations that would still allow for the use and not unreasonably prohibit it. So we don't just in paper allow the use, but then make it so complicated through impossible to achieve setbacks. But I understand your point. I think there's something we could do there.
I think that the safety concerns are valid enough to, you know, give some credence to the modifications that we wanted to do. So there are safety concerns here of our residents, and I think that should rise to the level of, you know, having enough, you know, to get it. But
no, understood.
My opinion.
It's workable.
Okay.
We can't have a mile setback. It has to be reasonable.
Okay.
But I think you understand that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sure this is going to take a while to produce, but for me, I think it's less intrusive, invasive, intrusive for the community, because if we're talking about Lee's Trailer Park, there was 350 apartments going up. and then in 4 or 5 years, or whatever it was, there was another 350 apartment buildings going up, so there would be 700 apartments in more than 5 acres of a lot there. I was always concerned about the traffic coming in and out of 2 streets and inundating Beachmont. So I look to this as a plus. I'm sure that everybody's going to do their homework. The revenue generated from the one warehouse is $2 million, so that would help going forward to help with the school, the building of the new high school. I know there's some houses in Lee's Trailer Park, the Lee's lot, but not surrounded by a community. And if they made it smaller, then they could contain whatever they put in there. But I'm sure with, it's going to be, you know, they're going to do this proper. They're going to do the fire protection properly. I'm sure there's going to be tons of studies. You could light a match down in Revere Beach. It's all wood. The whole thing would go up. All those apartments would go up. It's all wood. So what's the difference? What's the difference? I mean, they protect the houses down in, all the condos down in Revere Beach. They're all made of wood. One match would light that whole thing on fire. So I do think with, you know, time and studies and fire protections, that this would be a great project, and it would eliminate 700 apartments in Revere. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Haas?
Thank you, Mr. President. Tom, I wanted to touch on a few things quickly. The host community agreement with Chelsea, you said was $550,000, correct?
Thereabouts, yes.
Okay, and is that something that surrounding cities and towns in the state, is that similar to numbers that other cities have seen?
It depends on the use and kind of the interplay between that and the pilot agreement. So it was actually $584,000. Now I'm checking my notes. And in the case of their pilot, they were $1.5 million a year for 20 years. In the case of Medway, it is $2.237 million a year for 20 years for the pilot, and then there's about $200,000 through the host community agreement. So it's basically, there's a certain size pie, and it's really about how that pie is distributed amongst either the pilot or the host community agreement.
Great, thank you. And I know that there's a lot of concerns that go into the fire hazards and the possibility of a fire and not being able to put it out. And you had mentioned foam trucks and special equipment that that the fire departments will buy as a result of this. But did I hear you say that this had the support of the Revere Fire Department?
It does, and it was developed in consultation with them. And any host community agreement that we sign and any developments that we would look at would be done hand in glove in partnership with them.
So in conjunction with them regarding equipment needed just in case and you know,
Absolutely.
of an
So
emergency.
the Medway example, I think, had well over $1 million in upfront equipment purchases for the Medway Fire Department to deal with all these issues. We'd be looking at something similar here.
Great, thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry I came in late to this discussion. I have great fear over electric storage. You know, my biggest fear is that we haven't fully protected ourselves with EV vehicles in our new apartment buildings. I don't think we're fully protected, and I have a great fear about that. But that being said, I love my colleague to my right, but she talked about a match lighting the. I don't want to scare the residents out there. These buildings are sprinkled. They, you know, they're built with wood, but they're sprinkled. You know, they're protected. It's not like we're throwing up matchboxes here, and I don't want to scare anybody because it sounds, you know. Listen, I think this may be a good idea if I can see the protections that are in place. This may eliminate a lot of housing and generate revenue. And if I'm comfortable that it's safe, then I'd vote for it. But I'm a long way from there right now. You know, these ideas all sound great in the beginning, and then we get into the nitty-gritty. there's some things that it's hard to overcome. Yeah, I still don't know how we're protecting these e-vehicles in these garages in our new buildings here, because one of them goes on fire, you can't put them out. You just can't put them out. I don't care how much foam you got. It's a scary situation. So anyways, and we've got to deal with that. And I tried to put an ordinance in for a couple of years now, and everybody seems to be afraid to dig into it. And but it's a serious problem, and I don't want to see a disaster and then we say, geez, we should have listened to him. He was talking about this for a long time, and now we've had this tragedy. So I don't want to go down that road. But I'm off the, I apologize, Mr. President, for getting off the track here, but my concern is safety, and it'll be in the zoning committee, and we'll do a lot of exploring. And if we find it safe, and I think it may be a good use, but I'm not there by any means. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Permission to speak from the chair?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I had some concerns as well. I actually had a great conversation with both the companies that are wanting to come to the city. They were very exciting conversations. They're very excited about possibly coming to the city. I also reached out to the fire department, and they are all okay with this as long as they are 100% in with the planning, as Tom suggested. As long as they're in on that procedures and in the planning from the get-go, they're okay with it. And those are the professionals, I think, that we leave the opinions to. As many have said here tonight, these are companies that could come in and give us some major economic growth without putting any stress on our infrastructure, schools, roads, etc. So I think it's a plus, and I look forward to it. So thank you, Tom. All in favor, all opposed? Oh, no? Oh, yes, this is going to zoning September 8th.
Calendar item number 6, hearing called as ordered on the application of Revere Mass Owner LLC, Fort Washington, PA, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to operate a commercial automotive storage use within the TED District on Lee Burbank Highway.
Proponents, anyone here in favor? Anyone in favor? Proponents? Oh, hello.
Good evening. Quinn O'Sullivan, attorney with D'Ambrosio LLP on behalf of the applicant, and at this time, the applicant would like to withdraw their application for their special permit.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So any other proponents? Anyone else here in favor? Hearing none. Any opponents? Opponents, anyone here against? Closing that side. City councilors?
Mr. President, they're asking for a withdrawal without prejudice?
They are asking to
Okay,
withdraw.
so, yeah, I know, we got to put a
Yep.
motion in to do that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. With hearing that, and they will withdraw, so this will be placed on file. Yeah, okay, okay. Madam Clerk.
Shall the City Council grant the petitioner's request to withdraw the application without prejudice? Councilor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. The application has been withdrawn without prejudice. Calendar item number 7, hearing called as ordered on the application of Chems Development Corp., Danvers, Mass., requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to exceed the maximum height allowance in the IP district to enable the appellant to construct a 6-story self-storage facility at 195 American Legion Highway.
Proponents? Anyone here in favor? Hearing none. I'm closing that side. Opponents? Anyone here against? Opponents? Hearing none. Closing that side. City councilors. Council Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. This has been, they're requesting a withdrawal without prejudice. Reason, pretty much simply put, is they're not ready to present to us yet. From what was in the email as well, they're also going to be asking for the same from the ZBA. I do want to say that I did witness their presentation at the Concom last month, and it was very impressive. So they are taking their time. I'd like to, ask for the support in withdrawing with no prejudice.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other city councilors? Okay. To request a withdrawal without prejudice, Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Shall the City Council grant the petitioner's request to withdraw the application without prejudice? Councilor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo? Yes. Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes?
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the application has been withdrawn without prejudice. Calendar item number 8, hearing called is ordered on the application of 791 Broadway LLC, Middleton, Mass., requesting a Chapter 148 license from the Revere City Council for above-ground storage of approximately 840 gallons of gasoline, which would be contained within 42 vehicles to be parked at ground level of a residential development at 791 Broadway.
Petitioners? Proponents? Do we have any proponents? Anyone here in favor? Closing that side, hearing none. Any opponents? Anyone here against? Opponents? Hearing none, we'll close that side. City councilors? Councilor Warmiller.
Just wanted to note that there was a resident here who lives on Carlton Street that just had some additional questions. I don't know if there's anyone from the developer here, or if we can have them come when this comes to zoning, so that the resident can ask the proper questions. Is this not going to zoning, Matt?
The city council can vote it up, you can vote it down, you can place it on file, you can send it to a committee of your choosing.
Yeah, so
Mr. President,
Councilor.
this is a gasoline storage license,
Correct.
Okay, where are we with it?
So I believe a resident near the location had a few questions regarding that itself. I'm not sure what the questions are. They relayed them to Councilor Jaramillo.
yeah, I don't know what the questions are. I know she literally just walked out, but she lives on, I think, 6 Carlton Street. Her name is Dolores, and she just had some
Mr. President.
additional questions about the parking there.
Yes.
And not to interrupt my colleague. I did speak to that woman, and I explained to her it's just a gasoline storage to park the cars in there. And she seemed, I'm not saying she agreed with me or thought it was okay, but I did explain to her what it was. It's simply a gasoline storage license to allow the cars to park under the building. And so she knows that anyway.
Through you to Councilor Zambudo, then it sounds like maybe this has already been resolved.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
So, where are we here? Okay, so proponents. Oh yeah, we already went through this. Never mind. Okay. Purpose. Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Shall the City Council grant a Chapter 148 license to 791 Broadway for the applicant's stated purpose? Councilor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the Chapter 148 license has been granted. Public comment pursuant to Chapter 402 of the Acts of 1965.
Okay, any resident or business owner here in the audience that's want to get up and speak on any motion here, you have 2 minutes. Please come forward, state your name, address, and the motion you'll be speaking on. 2 minutes, please. Anyone? No one? Okay. Oh, we got someone. Okay. Name and address in the motion, please.
Juliet Raftree, 88 East Mountain Ave. I live on the corner of Cary Ave and East Mountain Ave. I guess we're going to talk about the traffic cutting through the high school parking lot? Is that what it is? Okay, so...
Ms. Raft, so I'm so sorry. So the motion is about making that, closing Cary Ave off and making it a street.
Okay, I'm in favor of anything to help alleviate that problem. Because they're speeding, coming through, coming one way and going the other way. So anything you can do to alleviate that problem, I'm in favor.
Thank you very much. And congratulations on your sidewalks.
Thank you, thank you.
61 years.
Thank you, Anthony. 61 years, right.
Okay, closing public comments.
Unfinished business, calendar item number 9, revocation of Chapter 148 license number 651, 22 Naples Road, granted January 24th, 22 for a cause.
Council Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to table this. Attorney Cipolletta and I had a discussion. He was unable to be here tonight, and I want to be fair and allow him the opportunity to represent his client. We're also still waiting from a report from the building commissioner to ensure compliance with all the special permit conditions as well. So I would like to motion to table this until the next meeting.
Motion to table. All in favor, all opposed?
Appointment Subcommittee Report.
Council McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we had 2 appointees, Victor Pelletier and Albert Tecci, to the Human Rights Commission. They were appointed to the Human Rights Commission. I would like to vote these 2 appointments out favorably tonight.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Do we have to take them separately? Or can we do them together? Okay. So can we have a roll call on both of these, Madam Clerk, please?
Shall the City Council confirm the appointments as reported by Chairwoman McKenna? That's the appointments of Victor Pelletier to the Human Rights Commission and Albert Teschi to the Human Rights Commission. Councilor Agenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo?
Yeah.
Yes. Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
The appointments have been confirmed. Communications. Calendar item number 14, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Michael Tucker to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
This will be referred to appointment September 29th.
Communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Peggy Pratt to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Referred to appointment September 29th.
Calendar item number 16, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Lori Manzo to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board.
Referred to appointment September 29th.
Calendar item number 17, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Aneo Usweki to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board.
This will also be referred to appointments on the 29th of September.
Calendar item number 18, communication from the Engineering Department requesting a public hearing relative to stormwater management amendments.
This will be ordered to a public hearing September 29th.
Calendar item number 19, communication from the Chief of Department of Planning and Community Development requesting a public hearing relative to stormwater management amendments for zoning.
This will be ordered to a public hearing on September 29th.
Calendar item number 20, communication from the CFO relative to a loan order in the amount of $5 million for the Lower Broadway Water Main Replacement Project.
Order to a public hearing, September 29th.
Calendar item number 21, communication from the CFO relative to the Transportation Network Assessment Appropriation.
Also, order to a public hearing, September 29th. Okay. Is CFO not in attendance? Okay. Madam Clerk, if we can have a roll call.
Shall the City Council approve an appropriation in the amount of $141,090.30 from the Transportation Fund to the Department of Planning and Community Development Transportation Outlay Account? Councilor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna? Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the appropriation has been approved. Calendar item number 22, communication from the CFO relative to Revere TV's quarterly invoice appropriation.
Mr. Viskey? Okay. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Shall the City Council approve an appropriation in the amount of $130,893.50 from the Cable Access Receipt Reserved Fund to pay Revere TV's quarterly invoice? Councilor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna? Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the appropriation has been approved. Motions. Calendar item number 23, motion presented by Councilor Argenzio, that the City Council move to accept Chapter 64G, Sections 3D-A and 3D-B of the Massachusetts General Laws, which will allow the City of Revere to impose an impact fee of up to 3% on the transfer of occupancy of a professionally managed unit and the transfer of occupancy of certain short-term rentals.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I'd like to thank the Short-Term Rental Office for bringing this to our attention. Massachusetts has a general law that, if adopted, which we hopefully will do tonight, we're allowed to charge a 3% community impact fee on all short-term rentals. This would be in addition to the 6% room tax. I think this is a way of raising some revenue for the city, and I think this would go a long way and help regulating short-term rentals. So I'm in favor of this, and it's a good source of revenue, and I hope everyone looks favorably on it.
Good motion, Councilor. Any other councilors? Okay. All in favor, all opposed?
Aye.
So ordered.
Calendar item number 24, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro, that the mayor and the superintendent of the Department of Public Works begin studying the feasibility of closing off Cary Ave at its connection to the Revere High School parking lot, effectively making it a dead end. Additionally, an exit-only roadway should be created adjacent to the baseball field, providing access to American Legion Highway. This proposal aims to provide relief to residents of East Mountain Avenue and surrounding streets from reckless driving, while also enhancing safety for both residents and pedestrians.
Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a lot going on in that area. We have a petition in for a speed table on East Mountain Ave, where we had an issue where some signage was put up on Cary Ave. It was a do not enter resident only sign. There was a one-way sign. Apparently they were not officially made into the ordinance, and they were taken down due to the construction on School Street. Those people in that area have suffered. I sat there. I've been going after things, some kind of safety measures there to help for 3 years, or 3.5 years now. This is kind of a last-ditch effort to try to look into something like this that would stop the cars from coming out of that lot, and it's just a nightmare over there. And we had a car flip over and everything. I mean, we got to do something. So this is just to look into the feasibility of closing it off. It's not asking to close it off. So hopefully you can all support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other city councilors? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 25, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro, that the mayor request the owners and/or management company for Overlook Ridge to appear before the city council to discuss what security measures are being taken to combat the rampant theft and vandalism happening to the residents of the complex.
Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Janino was supposed to be attached to this as well. I'm so sorry. I do want to state that before I filed this, I did speak to Councilor Janino, and he was in agreement with it, so I appreciate that. We've had a lot of issues with vandalism and burglary in that area, and just recently during the Sandcastle events, and not to downplay that, but it was during the same weekend, we had 4 cars have their tires stolen. Tires, just left on the grounds. Yes, think about that for a second. They took all 4 tires and left the car, and this was inside of a parking garage that was in Overlook. I want to thank the Revere Police Department, who spent hours there reviewing video footage of the cameras that worked. I also want to state that, to my knowledge, they don't have security there. So I just want them to come here because that is a large area. There's a lot of residents there, and I want to know what they're doing to keep those people safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 26, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro, that the mayor would direct the chief of police to increase patrols at all intersections of Graves Road. Cars are speeding out of control and running stop signs.
Councilor Cogliandro.
Speaks for itself.
All in favor, all opposed?
Calendar item number 27, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro, that the City Council, in conjunction with the Conservation Commission, award a certificate of appreciation to Linda Redding for her exceptional administrative work for the Conservation Commission.
Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry for maxing out the number of motions we're allowed. We've had a month off. So yes, speaking with the Conservation Commission, they would love to do something for Miss Redding. She's an amazing administrator. The work that she does, they recognize it, but they want to give her some more recognition, and I was happy to help, and hopefully you guys agree. Thank you.
Great motion. All in favor, all opposed?
Calendar item number 28, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro, that the City Council order to a public hearing the repeal of Section 9.12.030, posting political signs of the revised ordinances of the City of Revere, whereas the ordinance is content-based and unconstitutional by violating the First Amendment pursuant to the Supreme Court's decision on Reed versus Town of Gilbert, 576 U.S. That was a case from 2015.
Councilor Cogliandro.
Oh, here we go. Thank you, Mr. President. That was an interesting little hiccup in technology. Here we go. So I filed this exact motion 2 years ago, and it ended up going into subcommittee and went signed at the end of the year. There is absolutely no reason that this council should have an ordinance on the books that is unenforceable. And also, it will alleviate probably hundreds of phone calls to the election commissioner. I understand the thought process behind this, there is a, where it's not enforceable, that we've had a gentleman's agreement, but realistically, nobody follows it. And I want to state here publicly that I'm not putting a sign up until after Labor Day. I don't even want my own sign in my house for more than 2 months. It's sign pollution every 2 years, so that's my personal opinion. If you want to put a sign up now, that is your constitutional right as an American, okay? So you do whatever you want. It won't bother me either way. So we need to repeal this because it's unenforceable and shouldn't be on the books. And I'm hoping you'll at least let it go to a public hearing before you vote it down. Thank you.
Okay. This will be ordered to a public hearing. Oh. Would you like to come up and speak? Good call.
Good evening, Danielle Petrantonio, Election Commissioner. I agree, it is unenforceable. Our office was instructed by legal counsel that if anyone called and asked about it, to tell them that, yes, it is on the books, but it is unenforceable. So, and I think it, you know, because it's unenforceable, it creates confusion more than anything, and then conflict, because some people read it and follow it, some call and then they hear that it's not enforceable, so they don't, and then the people who followed it feel it's unfair, and the office is definitely in support of repealing it.
Thank you. Any councilors? Councilor Argenzio?
Thank you, Mr. President. When it comes to these signs, is there any regulation maybe through the building department as far as the size of it? I mean, yes, we understand there's lawn signs, but there's some people 4 by 8, 10 by 12. At what point does it become a structure that?
So that's beyond what I know. We were just instructed that it's private property. We can't tell people that they can't put up signs. I'm sure that there are regulations to that. That just goes beyond my scope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors?
Mr. President.
Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President. To answer Councilor Agenzio's about the sizes, this has been going on for 13 years. And we've never had a problem. People obey the alleged illegal ordinance. But I think it works. And honestly, I wrote it in 2012. And the council at that time was given permission from the city solicitor at the time that we could do it. Now, I want this city to look good. Yep. And by allowing people to leave them up year-round is poor judgment. Want to see them down. It's worked, again, for 12 years. People put them up on time, and they take them down on time. They still have the right to put them up and show what they want to do and who they want to vote for. You know, when it comes in January, nobody cares. And I think we ought to keep it, leave it, and let the people look at it and obey it, just like they're doing now. People are putting them up exactly the way they're supposed to right now. It's 30 days before the approved preliminary election. And that's what they're doing. And that's when I heard them, saw them the first time on the 30-day limit. So people are obeying it. Now, whether it's enforceable or not, that's because we, as the city, don't want to enforce it, you know, because it gives you a lot of headaches. But I believe also the city inspector, the building inspector, was also another source to file a complaint with. And all it is a letter going out to these people saying, well, you get it up too early, or you get it up too long. Now, it's 7 days after an election. Who cares after an election? Just because you want your name plastered all over the city? Again, that makes us look bad and look like second-hand citizens in a second-hand city? No, I don't agree with that, and I will not vote for this. I want to keep it on the books. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with my counselor on my left. I feel aesthetically it's not good for a city, a look for a city. I agree that maybe 2 months a sign should be up. I don't really believe that a resident, they're just doing the, you know, the elected official a favor. They don't want a sign there for a whole year. They don't want a sign there for 6 months. 2 months, yes, I think that's reasonable, but they don't want a sign there for the whole year. And I understand it's freedom of speech and you can do whatever you want to, but aesthetically, it doesn't make a city look good. It really doesn't. So I agree with Councilor Novoselsky. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guarino-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with both my fellow councilors. I actually have had complaints, numerous complaints along Revere Beach Boulevard for signs going up too early. Repealing this ordinance would only make the situation worse. I'm hearing these complaints, and I have to tell you, there was 10 of them, of people that called me within the last couple of weeks. And in this case, it's not even a citywide election until November. It's unreasonable for neighborhoods to already be cluttered with signs months before the voters even go to the polls. It creates distracted drivers. This ordinance provides balance, allowing political expression, but setting reasonable limits to protect our residents' quality of life. Instead of repealing it, we should strengthen the clarity and timing rules so signs don't overwhelm the neighborhoods before they need to. Also, excessive signage can create visual clutter, lower property values, and even block sight lines at intersections, and our reasonable rules on how, when, and where signs can be placed, as well as within the city's rights. I, myself, am not putting signs up until probably October, the end of September, beginning of October, but people have been complaining that signs, I mean, even along the City Hall area, there are signs up, and people have been complaining about them being up way too early. And I think even though they say it's non-enforceable because it's freedom of speech, I still believe that us having an ordinance on the books should be adhered to. Thank you.
And I just want to clarify, our office doesn't care when anyone puts up signs. Just on our end, we were told by outside legal counsel and by the city solicitor's office that if people call and ask us questions about it, that we're supposed to tell them that it is unenforceable from both the city and the state end. So then we get pushback. So this is my first election here, but that was what I've heard from the staff. That was one of their first things, that they were worried about the sign calls and how to handle them because of that.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you for the leeway, Mr. President. So it's not that I disagree with you guys, and I also want to state one thing, that if this was done in 2012, the United States Supreme Court case is from 2014. So it may be worth looking at now. Having an ordinance on the books that's unenforceable doesn't make sense to me. And again, I've always been told this is a gentleman's agreement. Right now, we do have all the restrictions that some of you guys talked about. You're only supposed to have 3 signs on your lawn on your property, according to the ordinance. You can't have more than 1 sign for a candidate on your property. There are lengths of time, 30 days, 45 days on businesses. There are dates for primaries. There are a lot of rules within this ordinance, and it's well done and it's well written, but it's unenforceable. I put the case, you can all look up to see the findings of the case. So again, this was allowed in 2012. It was decided on in 2014. So it's worth looking at. And guys, if people are following the ordinance, putting complaints in and being told that there's nothing they can do about it because it's unenforceable, why do we have the ordinance in the first place? That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you. So, Ms. Petrosino, if a call comes into you about these, you have an answer already for them, that it's unenforceable, there's nothing we can do it, and we're not going to react.
That's what we were instructed by the city solicitor and outside counsel, to tell people that it's unenforceable.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to be a political candidate. You could put up a sign about
For
your
anything,
views on any social issue.
Yeah.
And that's unenforceable. You can do that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's what we were instructed to tell people if they called about it. And we do get calls.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I am totally in support of repealing this because I think it does lend itself to confusion. If there's a gentleman's agreement in place or something like that, I'd be all for it. But the fact is, I'm not even so much concerned about the unenforceability of it. I'm more concerned about the unconstitutionality of it, which is why it's unenforceable, so that freedom of speech and freedom of expression is protected. We're in America, and people should be able to do what they want with the properties that they own, when they want, for how long they want. If there's a gentleman's agreement in place, like I said, and everyone wants to agree to that, I'm all for that. But for trying to institute and enforce something that is case law, we have decided case law stating that it's unconstitutional, we shouldn't be doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Counselor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree it's unenforceable, but it is a freedom of speech thing, and that's where we should start with this, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, if somebody, you know, a gentleman's agreement requires gentlemen to be involved. And ladies, whatever, but my point is that people are never going to agree. So, you know, you can put a sign up whenever you want, wherever you want, and that's it. Just leave it at that. I don't think it's been, people take them down pretty much right away. I don't see, you know, there's maybe a couple of stragglers, but most times everybody removes them, and so I don't know. I don't think we need to do anything with it, but I see everybody's side to it, but the Constitution is the leader of the, okay, thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other city? Why did this get so loud? Okay, perfect. Any other city councilors? Permission to speak from the chair? I do see both sides in this, but I'm big into the support of free speech. And I know this came up about, I think, 2 years ago, maybe, in, Commissioner, maybe you can answer this question, maybe you not. So what about in places like the Coolidge Street and Rose Street projects where people live in housing authorities? Are they allowed to use signs? Okay.
Point of information.
Counselor.
They can put signs within their home out of a window. They can't put them on the lawn or anything like that.
Okay.
And that's Revere Housing Authority's rules.
Okay. And I got to be honest, we are the main people. Us, candidates, those that are elected, are the main people that should make this rule forced. When to put them out, when to take them down. If we do our thing, you might have a straggler here and there that don't, but I think it's mainly up to us. So if it's unenforceable, I don't see how we keep it on the books. We can have a gentleman's agreement and continue to police it ourselves, but I think that's as far as we can go. Madam Clerk? Say again. Yeah. This will be ordered to a public hearing September 28th.
Mr. President, I'd like to vote no on that.
Order to a public hearing, Councilor Novoselsky, recorded as no. Calendar item number 29, motion presented by Councilor Argenzio. The mayor request the Chief of Planning and Community Development, the owner's project manager and architect for the McKinley School project, to appear before the City Council to discuss the project, specifically the construction of a proposed 145-foot radio tower.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we've been aware of this project at the McKinley School for quite a while now. The 911 facility and the child care and the municipal offices, and I think we're all in favor of it. It's a great project, and I'm in favor of it. But just a few weeks ago, it's come to light that it's going to require a 145-foot antenna so that we can properly communicate with Winthrop and Chelsea. So a 145-foot tower is going to be a dramatic landscape change to the neighborhood and to the central business district. So I would, and I did attend the site plan review meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I asked some questions there. I have a lot of questions about the tower and how this just came to light or how this was just discovered. So Mr. Skorowski is here tonight. Maybe he can shed some light, but I would like the architect, the OPM, and who did the study that says that this is required. Now, I know this is going before the ZBA on Wednesday. My intent is to go there and speak and see if I can get this tabled until the team comes up and explains how this happened and how it just came to light. And now we have, I don't know, the ZBA is before them about the height restriction. You can only go up 35 feet. This is 145. We have an ordinance there's other rules and regulations that govern this tower. They're not supposed to be attached to any public building. They're not supposed to be close to any residential homes, and there's going to be extremely close to residential homes. So that's my purpose for putting this in. I'd just like some answers before this goes any further. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other city councilors? Councilor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. President. So about 5 years ago, we fought to keep the 5Gs out of Revere because we found out that there was a lot of studies that it was causing microwave radiation coming down 60 feet from where the satellite was located. So we kept it out of Revere. We wrote an ordinance. When we see electrical fields, there's no neighborhoods near them because electrical fields also create havoc on people. I just don't think that it's right to put a tower, and we don't know what's going to be in the tower, what's it going to have, if it's radiating microwave whatever to people. I mean, I think we need to do a lot of studies on this because it could be harmful to people, and especially in a neighborhood dense as where McKinley School is. So I think we really need to do our homework on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. President. I've heard from a lot of people on this. Obviously, as soon as it's come out, people are calling. I've had people give me suggestions. Why don't we put this tower up on Reservoir and bring a cable down? I don't know if that's engineering feasibility. I mean, I'm not a engineer, but I think that would be a great solution if we could do that. But to put that in that neighborhood, you know, it's a hardship on the people that live right next door. I'm looking forward to hearing all about this, but it's not a good, right now it's not a good solution, putting a 140 or what is it, 145-foot tower? I mean, come on. And how come when we talked about moving the rec center to the McKinley School, nobody said anything about this? It's the biggest piece of equipment related to this project. It should have been the first thing we talked about. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. President. So that's my biggest concern, because we voted on this, and it's very important for us as elected officials to make sure that when we're voting on things, we're making informed decisions. And I feel as though this aspect of it, I didn't know about it. Had I known about it, I may have wanted to ask for, you know, if there were any other different options that we could have explored and things like that. So I have a big problem with it from that point of view, the fact that I didn't know about it until now. The other thing, in terms of all of the other safety concerns that we've heard, we live in an environment where we have very unexpected weather conditions with high winds. I would feel very uncomfortable knowing that this is close to residential homes with that in mind. I mean, we even had a tornado come down Broadway, right down Broadway, not too far from this location. I know that was kind of a fluke, but, you know, stranger things have happened. So I wouldn't feel too good about this being so close to residential homes. In that regard, when those concerns exist, I wonder what that does to maybe property values in that area as well. So I wouldn't want to see any decline in property values to the surrounding homes because of something like this going up. So I think this is definitely, I commend Councilor Argenzio for bringing this motion. I think we should definitely put the brakes on it and maybe get the ZBA to hold off on this until we can do a little more research and get some more answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliandro?
Thank you, Mr. President. The good news is we won't be able to put any political signs on this thing. But I have the same issue that Councilor Zambudo and Councilor Kelly brought up. When we approved this size of a tower and location was not brought before us, and any say that the council had is now taken away. All we can do is fight through other boards and means to try to slow this down. There's a lot of questions that we need answered, and thank you for standing up here and taking all the blows tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino?
Hi, Tom, thank you. I'm not comfortable with the size of the tower either. I can't figure out why there aren't other options available to us. I know back in the day, the old station, we're next door. We had a repeater up on Reservoir Avenue, and yet we had Baypern, which communicated with all the surrounding cities and towns around us. So they're saying they need a tower to reach over to Chelsea and Winthrop and what have you. But I'd like to see other avenues or options looked at before we move forward this year.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you. Tom, two questions. Maybe you can answer them off the top. Maybe you have to get some information. One, can we make it 200 feet? I'm kidding. Can it go up on Reservoir Ave where the reservoir is and the other antenna is up there? And two, can it go on the roof of the building?
Okay, thank you for the questions, and I'll try to answer some of the other ones afterwards as well. I understand that you also want the OPM and the designer to come speak here, and you've probably heard enough of me tonight. I'll try to keep it brief, but hopefully I can address most of your questions. Any other ones, I'd love to hear them so I could bring them back to the team. Starting with the Reservoir Ave question, which we have heard quite a bit. This system will basically operate as a hub and spoke system with McKinley being the hub. Were we to have the tower solely located at the Reservoir Ave site where it is today, have the microwave tower located there, we wouldn't have the redundancy that's necessary to create the public safety standards that we would need for a facility like this today. So what that would mean, Malden Ave last year, there was a car fire that actually knocked out some of the underlying fiber and put the system out for about 2 to 3 days. In Winthrop, a similar situation happened where somebody was digging and it hit the fiber network and disrupted Winthrop's fiber network and thus the Metro North region for a few days. There was another instance at school in Central last year that occurred right around Thanksgiving, and because it was right around the holiday, it took over a week to get the system back functioning as it should. So fiber is the first line of defense in creating a strong network of communication, and all 3 communities will be connected through fiber. But there needs to be redundancy in the system, and that's ultimately what this radio tower provides. So the microwave towers, or the microwaves at the top of the tower, will communicate in those instances where redundancy is needed, unlike a 5G tower that Councilor McKenna had mentioned earlier, which is constantly transmitting signals. This would be used in those instances where we needed that backup and we needed that redundancy. And it's important to note the microwave tower is quite different from a 5G tower. They're two, in terms of the impacts and everything that was discussed. The second question that you had mentioned, if you could remind me.
Can it go up above on the roof?
Oh, can it go on the roof? So I'm actually going to hand each of you some responses from Introba, the team that put together our analysis of what we would need for the height of the tower, why the tower height is necessary. We also have an analysis from our engineer that's working on the project that did state we could add a tower to the structure of McKinley It would still need to be 145 feet tall, and given the structural load that that would place on the building, it would exponentially increase the cost. And just aesthetically speaking, not that that's the most important thing, but it would look a bit strange, and I think it would take away from the building and the grandeur of it. So I think that's important to note. And the one comment I had heard a few times, if I could address, the vote that was taken to consolidate the rec. So currently the rec serves Winthrop and Revere. There was a recent vote taken to bring Chelsea into the fold as well. The tower does need to go to 145 feet to reach the Chelsea Soldiers Home. But even without the addition of Chelsea, the tower would need to be at least 110 feet to reach the Winthrop Water Tower. Not to minimize the height difference there, but actually it is important because the tower gets thinner as you go up, and all the appurtenances are below 100 feet. So everything you see above, from 110 to 145 feet, again, not insignificant, but you won't see the antennas or I think there's 1 or 2 microwaves that will be there to catch signals when necessary.
Okay. Council McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So 5 years ago, when we discussed the 5Gs, the reason why we discussed this was because the fire department and Central Fire had a 5G on top of their roof. And what was happening was the firefighters were getting sick, and they didn't know why. And then they finally figured it out that when they went up to the roof, it was blocked off, and it said, please do not come to this point, radiation, whatever. So that's how this whole thing came up. So, we do have to protect the people, we have to protect the neighborhoods, but we also have to, I really do think it just can't be shoved down our throats. We really need to do some studies on this, and I just don't think, if you want to put it on the roof, I don't think it's a good idea, because what's going to happen under it, people are going to be working underneath the building. So, and they're going to get exposed if there is any kind of radiation or microwave connection. So, I really do think we can't just jump on this. We really need to work on this. Thank you.
And one thing I would note too, I understand that it's coming in front of the council and it feels like for the first time tonight. And I would say there is an opportunity for the council ultimately, when you make a decision, hopefully to fund this project, the full McKinley redesign. That will be an opportunity for a vote that will come much later on. This was not a decision that we made without careful deliberation, not just on the impacts of McKinley itself, but even for about a year and a half before we decided on the McKinley as the site for the 911 call center for the region, we worked with Whitney Morgan, the executive director there, and her team to try to find sites in Winthrop, to try to find sites in Revere, and to no avail. And to Councilor Kelly's point earlier on another topic, we are in a densely populated community where it is hard to have a site that's completely and absolutely isolated from neighborhoods and from where people live. And this was the best site we found on a municipal property that we could utilize to, again, reach and fulfill a really critical public safety need for both the city and the region. But it was one that wasn't taken lightly.
Thank you, Tom. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tom, I have a lot of respect for you. This could be a deal breaker. And it could be a deal breaker because the city council was not informed. I voted on something I would have never voted for. I was the proponent of the first rec center I was heavily involved in building the police station. I'll say that lightly. But I spent every waking hour when that place was being built. And there were some appointed officials that didn't speak to me because they thought it was a trade-off of bodies. But I know how important a rec center is. But to come up now, with all due respect, when you say we put a lot of thought into this, where the hell was it that the council knew that we were going to get a 150-foot tower? Nowhere. I don't care how much thought you put in it. I don't care how much effort was put in it. This is blindsiding us, and I'm telling you, I'm looking to kill it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Tom, just one quick clarification, if you could, please. So when you first said why it had to go at the McKinley site was because of the, I don't know, the receive and the send to the thing. But then you just said that we looked for another location in Winthrop, in Chelsea. How would that have worked?
We looked for another location for a 911 call center specifically. So once you
Not just the antenna.
whatever the location is, that's to be the hub of the hub and the spoke. And then in November, as we initiated design, we understood this to be something that was necessary. We brought in Introba as a team to figure out what the necessary height of the tower would be. We learned that height in June. We then applied in July to the site plan review, requesting a variance once we determined that the height was of a level that was necessary. Again, in full transparency, within a month of us learning that, we put it in front of a site plan review, going to ZBA, understanding we would have these conversations as a community. I respect that, again, it's a tall tower, but it's one that we're being very transparent with the community about the need for from a public safety standpoint.
Thank you, Tom. Any other, Counselor Kelly?
Thank you for the leeway. Tom, you said that this would basically be in use when the fibers fail for some reason, so that the system's down for some reason, and then this would kick in as kind of a backup system, correct? So there are no other alternative options to utilize in that scenario when, you know, the system goes down, the fiber goes down, there's no other alternatives that we could employ?
That's my understanding. And again, if you look at some of the precedents, Holbrook, Lynn, Saugus, the North Middlesex region, 911 call center, Newton, Boston, all recently developed 911 call centers that all have these towers because I understand the current public safety facility on Revere Beach Parkway does not have one. That's in part a question of sight lines. But also this new system does create those necessary redundancies. And like it or not, we live in a different world. We live in, at times, scary world where we have to protect for our security and make sure that we communicate as clearly and effectively as possible while reducing those redundancies. So again, I believe at a future meeting, the police chief and the fire chief will be here right behind me speaking in favor of this because they appreciate and understand the need and the importance of having this tower. And again, we wouldn't want it there unless we absolutely needed it.
Thank you, Tom. Counsel Cogliano.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to state that I am hearing from early education teachers that they're very concerned about this as well. I also heard that some of the school department is in favor of this. So just to put things in, so one question is, are the police and fire departments on part of the communication about this project? Are they okay with this? I mean, I know that we need it for them. I know we need to do something we have to make it happen. But how do they feel about the height, the location?
So we've all deliberated this carefully over the last few months since we learned what the height was going to need to be. And they, I don't think, understood there would be a full discussion tonight, but Wednesday, when they knew there would be, the police chief, the fire chief, the executive director of the rec, Whitney Morgan, and her team will be here to support this because they understand the importance from a public safety standpoint.
And, sorry. Yeah, I just looked up the height of Broadway towers, and it's 101 feet. So we're talking about 44 more feet high is the height of that tower, just so people can get their eyes on how tall this thing is actually going to be. So thank you Tom, thanks for coming up. Like I said, taking the punches. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Argenzio.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Skorowski, this wasn't meant to hammer you with the questions. I had wanted, who did you say the company was, the engineering firm that? Introva?
Introva's
Right,
the firm that did the study for the radio waves.
So hopefully they'll be able to appear before the council, because I think that's where the questions are going to be directed. I know I had asked for the OPM and the architect, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to answer these questions. Will they be able to appear before the council, you think? And
I think they would be.
Okay.
I'd like to think I could do a good job answering the questions, but
Okay.
I hear you, and I appreciate it.
And I think Councilor Kelly brings up some good points. We need redundancy, we need a backup system. Is there something else that can give us that redundancy or that backup? I know you had said in Winthrop the fiber went down. So what happened when that fiber went down? Nobody was able to talk to each other for... So
essentially, they were able to communicate, but ineffectively by their public safety grade standard.
Okay.
That's how it's been communicated to me by the rec.
Okay, so I would like to ask this company these questions. Like I say, and the biggest concern is how this just came to light. You know, this 145-foot tower. And at the site plan review, I said if the report came back that we needed a 200-foot tower, you had said, well, we'd be talking about a 200-foot tower. So it seems that if we were going to get a 911 call center before anything happened, that study should have been done, and that we would have that information before we entered into this whole project and got excited about it. That should have been the first thing before anything else was done. That study should have been done. So I'm a little disappointed that that wasn't the first thing that was done. So hopefully we can get them before us. I intend on going to the ZBA on Wednesday and asking them to table it until we're satisfied with the questions we want to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna?
Thank you for the leeway, Mr. President. I just wanted to ask Tom, does the tower look like the one down in the VFW in Beachmont? Is that what it looks like?
So it's not a cell tower
Okay.
in that way where you have, again, the appurtenances, difficult word to say, are all kind of shooting out in every which way in a cell tower. This is much more sleek, and it just sort of a tall tower. You'll see some radio antenna under 100 feet. And then at the top you have I think it was about a 2 or 3 foot in diameter radio transmitter, a microwave transmitter. But it won't have all those things poking out in every which way like you might see in a cell tower.
Okay, and do you know how big, just for people's knowledge, if they saw this tower in the VFW, do you know how big that is, that tower that they have down in the VFW? Is that about 140 feet?
I don't believe so, but
Okay.
I don't want to speak out of turn.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kelly?
Just one quick question, sorry, Mr. President, thank
That's
you.
okay.
Does the city intend to lease space off this tower with, in my previous life, I was in the telecommunications tower industry, so will they be leasing any space to private companies on this tower? Whips and panels, Omni panels and things like that?
This is intended to serve public safety and public safety alone.
Intended to, so there's no way that they will be leasing space?
No, I was just answering the question the way you asked it, but no, that's not the goal, that's not the intent. We don't aim to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And Tom, thank you very much, but I appreciate your time tonight. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 30, motion presented by Councilors McKenna and Guarino-Sawaya, that the City Council send a letter to the Joint Committee on Financial Services in support of Bill H-1230, an act mandating access to cancer screenings for firefighters through healthcare benefits, plans or programs provided by the public employer. This bill, if approved as proposed, will provide our firefighters with free cancer screenings for the following cancers: colon, lung, bladder, oral, thyroid, skin, blood, breast, cervical, testicular, and prostate.
Councilor Guarino-Sawaya? McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, if approved as proposed, will provide our firefighters with free screening for the following cancers. As Ms. Melnick said, colon, lung, bladder, oral, thyroid, skin, blood, breast, cervical, and prostate, etc. Many firefighters suffer from different kinds of cancer, from smoke, carcinogenic, foam, asbestos, diesel exhaust, and even with their protected gear can absorb through their personal protective gear. The most common cancer among firefighters is prostate cancer. Studies show that firefighters are diagnosed with prostate cancer at a higher rate than the general population, with some studies indicating a 28% risk. Free screening would be beneficial in the long term. Thank you.
Councilor Guarino-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. Every day our firefighters they run towards danger while we stay at home safe. They're exposed to smoke, toxic chemical, carcinogens, and other hazardous material, sacrificing their own health to protect our community. Studies show the firefighters have higher rates of cancer compared to the general population. The bill, H. 1230, would provide free cancer screenings, giving these heroes a fighting chance for early detection and treatment that can save many lives. Supporting this bill isn't just a policy, it's a moral obligation. It's our way of saying, we see your courage, we honor your sacrifice, and we will stand by you as you stand by us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors?
Mr. President.
Councilwoman Miramillo.
Mr. President, I commend my colleagues McKenna and Guarino-Swire for this, asking us to write this letter in support of this bill. And I'd like to say that, of course, the firefighters got a giant win in the last year through the legislature by banning the PFAS, which are forever chemicals that enter their bodies through their equipment, their protective equipment that they wear. I would also like to remind the residents that our city can do more about this. Of course, firefighters do negotiate directly with the city as it relates to their health plans and their health benefits, their wages, and other benefits, and that we can lead the way, but stand in full support of this bill here that Councilor Guarino-Swire and Councilor McKenna have flagged for us, and I hope that we can pass this motion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor.
Mr. President, could I add one Jaramillo, Councilor, to this motion, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
Madam
you,
Clerk.
Madam. Thank you, Councilor McKenna. Sorry, Mr. President.
Any other councilors? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 32, motion presented by Councilor McKenna, that the mayor request the superintendent of public works and tree warden to ensure that tree pits are installed when new sidewalks are constructed, which is not currently being done and contributing to the decimation of trees citywide. Further, that the city's grant writer be directed to begin researching the DCR Greening the Gateway Cities Program implementation grant worth up to $100,000 to support tree planting, watering, and maintenance to prepare for next fiscal year's application.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the recent months, 6 streets and sidewalks were done with not one tree planted. The reason behind this is we are giving the residents the option of saying if they want a tree planted in front of their property or not. But these are on city sidewalks. They're on city sidewalks. When did this happen? In my tenure as a councilor, I've planted 60 trees in Beachmont. If the city is mindful of trees not being planted near a water main or a sewer line, and it's positioned in a non-invasive spot, then why are we pushing back and planting trees? The trees we planted 5, 10, 15 years ago are not the same trees we're planting today. Urban cities now have designer trees that don't uproot a sidewalk and only grow 15 feet. In every city, such as Winthrop, Everett, etc., trees are planted by the city. Revere is not planting trees on a city sidewalk. It's becoming a concrete city. The valuable assets from planting trees in an urban setting is reducing air pollution. Trees absorb carbon dioxide and other harmful pollutants from the air and give out oxygen. Urban areas are lacking trees are often have less shade and evaporation, which can lead to heat islands. I mean, if anybody's ever gone to New York, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Trees can create a more habitable and enjoyable local climate with more moisture, cooling temperatures down between 10 and 15 degrees and buffering wind. Trees can also reduce toxic runoff and reduce flooding by catching rain in their leaves and stopping it from reaching the ground, and by their roots soaking up the rain and pushing it back into the atmosphere. Environmental benefits, they just did a study, I think it was in Somerville, are not only the reason why urban trees should be valued. Trees make communities more livable for residents by adding natural beauty, and statistics are now showing with more trees in an urban setting, trees reduce crime, improve mental health, and property values. Right now, they are a buffer zone and catch emissions from the planes going over Beachmont and Point-à-Pines. There is so much good from having trees in an urban city setting. I am asking the city to move forward with a comprehensive plan to plant more trees, and that the grant writer research grants to acquire more plantings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I agree with Councilor McKenna. So I've had
I love trees.
only a few streets have been done, sidewalks have been done in my ward. But the ones that were done, the council was never requested to give his input or her input, just a concrete sidewalk. Now, every time we want to put a tree into these sidewalks, it's going to cost us $150 to cut the sidewalk open for a tree pit. Right now, I have 22 requests in for trees in my neighborhood. So that's going to cost us 22 times 150 just to cut the pit. Then we have to worry about digging it out and planting the tree. So here's another example of poor communication. Okay, the city engineer did not talk to the ward councilors. Poor, poor, poor. And I feel very strongly about this, and I say it again. Communication is very important to all of us from every department, every department. You know, we legislate up here, but we have things that we want to see get done, and beautifying our city is one of those things. And putting up trees is very, very important. So I would relay this to the mayor and all the department heads. Talk to us. That's all we ask for, is talk to us. Get our input. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 33, motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky, that the City of Revere revise the restrictions approved on Council Order 2002-86 dated November 4th, 02 for Lot 73B on Centennial Ave to read: the conditions on the deed shall read, 1, the property shall be maintained and utilized as a parking lot, and 2, no barriers or fencing shall be installed around or within the property to designate ownership boundary lines.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this was brought to me by the owners at 1 and 4 Orr Square, Dr. Bichetti's office, and they're the ones that purchased the property from us back then. And since then, where Cinco de Mayo was, the little restaurant and bar that was there, has been eliminated, and a new building was built right up to the property line. So there's no easements, and there's no reason to have any kind of restriction against the property lines. And I do want to amend this a little and only put item number 2, the property shall be maintained and utilized as a parking lot. And I talked to them, and I told them it's very important, because if they built the building, okay, we don't want them to build the building in that parking lot. We want to still be able to utilize it for their employee parking and some of their constituents parking. The number 3 issue, no barriers or fencing shall be installed around or within the property or designated to ownership boundary lines. I just looked at the plans, and the boundary lines are the buildings right now, and also the wall of Centennial Ave and Orr Square. So I'm going to ask that only one item be retained, and that's the property shall be maintained and utilized as a parking lot. So if it can make that amendment, striking number 2, yes, if I will. And, you know, the owners, you know, feel like, you know, since a lot of these things are not applicable any longer, they want to be able to have better future potential on if they sell the property. But even if they built there, you know, the building that's next door is 5 stories high, and their building right now is only 1 story high. So I still want to give them some potential, but if they do build over this lot, they have to have parking underneath. So I ask for your approval in this, and I don't know if, through the clerk, if we need a public hearing of this, or just a motion from us to, so if you would all approve that, I would be grateful, and Dr. Bichetti will be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. As amended, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 34, motion presented by Councilor Guarino Sawaya, that the City Council request the mayor, in coordination with MassDOT, DCR, and all other relevant state and regional agencies, to establish a coordinated public process for construction projects that impact the city of Revere. This process should include 1, a centralized public forum where residents can access clear, up-to-date information on ongoing and upcoming projects, timelines, and traffic impacts. 2, regular community meetings scheduled in advance of major projects with a particular focus on impacts to school bus routes, commuter travel, and emergency response corridors. 3, advance notification requirements for both city and state projects, ensuring residents are informed ahead of time through multiple channels. And 4, traffic mitigation and coordination plans jointly developed by the city and state, including detours, signage, and scheduling adjustments to limit overlapping disruptions in the same neighborhood or corridor.
Councilor Guarino Sawaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask for some leeway, okay? The impact of our residents from overlapping construction projects has been extraordinary this past week. With the General Edwards Bridge work, North Shore Road, Revere Beach Boulevard, Revere Street, Broadway, American Legion Highway, Rice Avenue corridor, all under construction at the same time, daily life in Revere has been severely disrupted. Just last week, traffic came to a complete standstill. What should have taken 5 to 10 minutes took an hour, or in some cases, an hour and a half to get home. North Shore Road was bumper to bumper. Revere Beach Boulevard was locked up. Revere Street and Broadway were jammed, and even Lynn Marsh Road was at a gridlock. Residents were sitting in cars for hours, and entire neighborhoods were effectively trapped. Luckily, this occurred before the school year began, because if school buses had been on the roads during the standstill, the situation would have been even worse. I received hundreds of calls from residents describing how horrific the traffic was. One resident told me it took her nearly 2 hours just to get from Revere Street back home to the Oak Island neighborhood, a trip that normally takes less than 10 minutes. People were frustrated, angry, and desperate. We even saw accidents because drivers, in their frustration, tried to force their way out of the gridlock. The Point of Pines, Revere Beach Boulevard, and other neighborhoods were especially impacted. It was an absolute disaster for our city, and it all stemmed from lack of coordination. And it's not just the city and state. We also have major utility companies, MWRA, National Grid, and others conducting large-scale projects in our city, often at the exact same time as roadways and bridges are having work performed. When all of these entities, local, state, regional, and utilities fail to coordinate, it's the residents of Revere that pay the price. Even though the General Edwards Bridge is technically not in Revere, it is outside Revere, the ripple effect of the project, combined with all the other work happening at once, brought our city to a dead stop. This should never be happening. And this didn't just affect Revere, the backup extends into surrounding communities as well. That's why I'm asking the city, the state, and the utility companies to establish a coordinated public process for construction projects that impact Revere. This must include one centralized forum, both online and in person, where residents can get a clear, up-to-date information on projects, timelines, and traffic impacts. It must include regular community meetings scheduled before major projects begin, well before, with particular focus on impact to commuter travel, school buses, and emergency response. And it must include advanced notification requirements pushed out through multiple channels. Also, residents are not blindsided. Finally, the city, state, and utility companies must jointly develop real traffic mitigation and coordination plans, including police details, detours, signage, and schedule adjustments, so we don't see overlapping disruptions in the same neighborhood. Our residents deserve better. We cannot allow another situation where Revere is paralyzed for hours because of poor communication. Never again should our city be brought to a complete standstill as it was last week. Thank you, and thank you for the leeway.
Thank you, Councilor. On Councilor Guarino-Swire's motion, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 35, motion presented by Councilor Guarino-Swire that the mayor request the DPW and Traffic Commission, in coordination with MassDOT, to evaluate and implement safety measures at the corner of North Shore Road and Vera Street in Oak Island. The property at 795 North Shore Road has been struck by vehicles at least 4 or 5 times due to the high rate of speed in this area. Most recently, a car hit a pole and crashed through the property's fence. The installation of barriers or a guardrail should be considered to protect residents and prevent further incidents. The owner of the property has been requesting that something be done for over 12 years.
Councilor Guarino-Swire.
The section of North Shore Road and Vera Street is extremely dangerous. The property at 795 North Shore Road has been struck multiple times over the past 12 years, and the woman who lives there has been asking for help for 12 years. Nothing's been done. All she wants is some type of a barrier put in front of her house, and I understand why. Because when you're traveling down North Shore Road and you're traveling at a high speed of rate, it goes from 40 to 50, and then you're at a stop at the set of lights. So right before you get to that set of lights, people are driving 50 miles an hour. And what happens is they're going to try to stop real short, and this is what's happening to this poor woman. And when they stop short, sometimes they lose control of the vehicle. And where does it go? Right into her house, because her house is a block away from that set of lights. So we need to do something to help her, and she has been asking for 12 years for something. And if we can send this to traffic, and maybe traffic can find some way to mitigate this, I would appreciate it.
Mr. President, can I suggest something?
Councilor McKenna.
I just had some bollards put in, whatever. It doesn't matter.
A bollard?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just had those bollards put in, and They're working great. So they're all around Ward 1, so
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman
So suggest that to Superintendent Chris Charamella.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Counselor. On Counselor Guarino Swire's motion, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. That concludes tonight's meeting. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.